All right, J Love T. There are three components to this question. If Florida State's new head coach Mike Norvell wins 9 games,
Okay.
if Manny Diaz and Miami fails to win the Coastal,
Okay.
and if Mario Cristobal wants to come to Miami, it adds up to that gives you confidence to break it up and go get Cristobal.
Okay, so this is a two-part. Yeah, okay, so basically you're saying the first part of the scenario is FSU comes in this year and wins 9. The other thing is, regardless of the number of wins, Miami and Manny Diaz do not win the Coastal. If those two things happen, do I then have the confidence to scrap what we're doing at Miami and go after Cristobal? That's the scenario. If this and this, then do you feel like that? And to me, it depends on Miami's season, the losses in that season, and the nature of the losses in that season. So people are saying, okay, or people have said previous to De'Aaron King getting here and things like that, 8-4 would be a strong season for Miami. I do not believe that. I never have believed that. But I will say it depends on it depends on the 4 of the losses more than the 8 of the wins. So if you have a loss to a UAB or something, I just got a delivery to my house. I did not order anything.
Okay. We'll keep it going. I'll give you mine.
No. I mean, he just dropped it and left.
Oh, okay.
I'm looking right at him through the bay window here, but I will.
Hopefully something good. Maybe a surprise of something good.
Did I buy? I might have bought something when I was inebriated the other night. My friend was over here. Huh. We were social distancing. I was over here on the little recliner, and he was sitting on the couch, like, good friend of mine from undergrad. Who's down here right now? Maybe I did. Maybe did I? I don't know. Anyway, sorry.
Man, it's going to be a surprise.
Exactly. Let's focus back on the scenario like I was talking about. If people are saying that 8-4, and this is before, obviously, earlier in the year, 8-4 would be a season for Miami, or an acceptable season. I don't believe so, but I think it comes down more to the 4 than the 8. If you have a loss to UAB in there, if you have a loss to Florida State, if you lose all your big games, that's not good. If you lose little games, that's not good. But again, with this schedule, just like years past, I don't see an acceptable 4 losses on there. You know what I mean? If you think that it's not going to change ever. Now, if you have 4 losses and they're all by 1 point and like something crazy happens and yada, yada, okay.
And
like sometimes
a ton of injuries.
Right. Like tough situations occur and you really have to kind of use the whole prism of the situation, not just the result, the process and the path to get there. I am hesitant because if we're going to go away from Manny Diaz now, let's just operate under that 8-4 world where Miami does not win the Coastal and FSU wins 9 and beats Miami for the first time in 4 years and things like that. Let's operate in this world that JT Love has created. You got to pay Manny Diaz out. You got to pay out all those coaches. You got to buy Oregon off because they still got that Nike money. You know what I mean? So if you come at Cristobal with a healthy contract, I don't know who his agent is. I don't know if it's the venerable Jimmy Sexton or not. But if you come at him with the offer, he can spin that back and say, hey, guys, got an offer from Miami at 5 years, 30. I think I'm going to take it. Oregon will be like, cool, I'll give you a 6-year extension at 50. What's up? I'm staying for the 6 and 50. And you've already pretty much locked down California recruiting. Pretty much the West Coast is Oregon recruiting now because USC is not doing anything. You have programs that were pipeline programs for USC that high school kids are not going to USC anymore. They're going to Oregon. They're putting on duck colors. And I will say colors because who knows the kaleidoscope of what their uniforms are going to look like. But you have that whole side, the whole left coast locked down. You're this close to getting to the college football playoff. You already have these players coming in. You can get a transfer quarterback from wherever. You already got the number 1 defensive end. Last year's recruiting class, who was a freshman All-American and was trying to be a Heisman Trophy kind of candidate player. So you're going to buy me off the whole that situation and the money. That means at Miami, We're going to pay all these guys to go and then have to supersede that kind of money and give the assurance that we're going to put him in that kind of situation to pay the assistants that he will need and want to make his program work to this same level, because you cannot do what Michigan did with Rich Rodriguez. You cannot be half in. You cannot say, I want Rich Rodriguez, but I don't want the position coaches. I don't want the defensive coordinator, because the right hand has to wash the left hand. Hey, coronavirus, wash your hands. But it has to work together. You can't say, oh, we want you and your offensive philosophy, but in the guise of what we were doing defensively and as clock management and as a team. It doesn't work, because what I do offensively is different. That means the way that we run everything else needs to be different. But that means you also have to pay everybody to bring in to run it in that different way. Are you going to do that in Miami? Are we right now? Like, I'm not sure about that. And I do think that if Cristobal was the coach at Miami, we would start recruiting to a level that we should have been for a long, long time. I will give you that. I think that he learned from the FIU days. I think that he got a raw deal at FIU, first of all. Thanks, Pete Garcia, for that. But is he somebody that I would want at Miami? Yes. There are barriers that I see right now to cutting bait on the Manny Diaz era to go to the Mario Cristobal era. So, like most things in life, I will say that it is conditional, but if this season were to crash and burn like last year did, I would feel more secure in cutting bait than an 8-9 win season that is progressional growth from last year, but still falls short of some of our goals. Because I think that would maybe prove that we are on the path to getting where we want to get, even though we might not already be there. So that was a long answer for that, and I hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah, there's certain conditions on all this. So I understand that Miami fans look at Florida and Florida State, and there is certainly pressure there to a certain extent to eclipse and play beyond your rivals. So that certainly has some impact on it, but let's understand that there are all sorts of examples of new head coaches coming into fairly ready-made win situations, and one of three things eventually happens. Either they come in and win right away, either they come in and it takes them a couple of years to establish their program and win, or they fail. So we'll see what Mike Norvell does at Florida State in regards to winning the 9 games. I don't know how much that would weigh into the administration's decision at Miami in regards to evaluating Manny Diaz. Let's also understand that it's been quite a while since somebody's had to have a great season. And when I say great, I mean like 10-2-ish to win the ACC Coastal Division. This has been quite some time that somebody's needed to be that good to win the ACC Coastal. So Pitt won it at 7-5 2 years ago. Virginia at 8-4. So if Miami fails to win the Coastal and somebody else at 7-5, 8-4 wins the Coastal, that's obviously not much of a showing. But to Cam's point, let's say North Carolina, they've got 2 really difficult non-conference games. So throughout the non-conference, it has nothing to do with winning the Coastal. Let's say they go 7-1. Miami goes 7-1. Carolina beats them head-to-head. They're going to win the Coastal. But Miami goes 7-1 and let's say 10-2. I don't think that's going to usher Manny Diaz, regardless of the situation, if he goes 10-2 and 7-1 in conference.
Exactly. And I mean, that's like what I was saying. I mean, and for the JT Love scenario to play out where you could see yourself cutting bait on Manny Diaz, unless you're just a Manny Diaz hater and you were never here for that. And hey, there are some of those people, and I get it, because sometimes we like who we like and we don't who we don't. But I mean, the part of that would be, and it's the unstated part, that Florida State will have beaten Miami. You know what I mean? Like, Florida State will get to 9 by beating Miami, and that loss, which is a conference game again, would then preclude Miami from winning the Coastal. Extrapolate that out. So that's the other part of the scenario. But you know, we'll see. No. JT Love. Yeah, I mean, it's hypothetical. I get it.